Decode any person's thoughts with these simple body language tips. Have you ever wondered why some people can instantly sense what others are thinking, without a single word spoken? Why certain monks or wise elders seem to see through you, just by looking into your eyes? Here's the surprising truth: you don't need to be born with a special gift to do this. And yet, studies show that only a small fraction of people, less than 10%, can accurately read the emotional state of others through subtle body language and energy cues. In today's video on Zen Buddhism Wisdom, you'll discover how to unlock this rare ability by training your awareness through timeless Buddhist practices. You'll learn the art of silent seeing, a technique used by Zen masters to perceive the truth beneath appearances, and even protect themselves from deception and manipulation. So stay until the very end, because I'll share a profound real-life Zen story where a master used nothing but mindful presence to uncover a hidden truth that even the person themselves wasn't aware of. And once you understand it, you'll never look at people the same way again. In the profound stillness of Buddhist practice, there is an unshakable truth: the body becomes the echo chamber of the mind. Every thought reverberates, every emotion leaves a fingerprint. We often assume that thoughts are private, sealed tightly within the walls of our minds. But in reality, the mind is a restless artist, constantly sketching its inner landscapes onto the canvas of the body, through posture, breath, tone, and expression. In Zen, there's no such thing as a completely hidden thought, only an untrained eye fails to see. The eyes, for instance, are far more than organs of vision, they are windows into the subtle self. The ancient Chinese Zen master Lingji Yishuan once said, "Your true nature will flash through your eyes long before your mouth speaks it." This is more than poetic, it's neurologically and energetically true. The eyes are the only part of the brain visible from the outside. They respond faster than speech and more honestly than intention. When someone is in love, their pupils dilate; when someone is in fear, their blink rate increases subtly. When someone harbors guilt, their gaze often drops, not from shame alone, but because the eyes instinctively protect the truth. Have you ever met someone whose eyes seem tired, not from lack of sleep, but from carrying the weight of unspoken sorrow? That's not imagination. It's awareness. In Buddhism, this is called anyabod, knowing without words. Equally expressive are the hands, which act as messengers of emotion. The Buddha himself used hand gestures, or mudras, to communicate profound states of consciousness. The Dharmachakra mudra, where the fingers form a wheel, signifies the turning of the wheel of truth. The Ubhya mudra, an open palm facing forward, signifies fearlessness and peace. These gestures weren't random. They were spiritual signatures of inner realization. Even today, long after words are forgotten, statues of the Buddha still speak volumes, through their hands. In daily life, the same principle applies. A clenched fist can speak of unprocessed rage. A trembling hand can betray anxiety more loudly than words. Someone tapping their fingers isn't just bored, they may be feeling trapped, mentally racing, seeking control. To observe someone's hands is to watch their unconscious script unfold. Then there is posture, not just how someone stands, but how they exist in a moment. In samurai Zen traditions, posture wasn't merely physical, it was spiritual. A warrior's spine had to be straight not just for readiness, but for clarity of intent. They believed, if your posture is crooked, your mind is lying. Modern neuroscience echoes this. People sitting with upright posture experience more positive emotions, better memory, and greater confidence, while those slouched are more prone to sadness and mental fog. Someone sitting across from you, slumping with their head down, arms folded in, is not just tired, they might be emotionally retreating. Those who stand tall, breathe steadily, and take up space mindfully are often grounded in self-awareness. It's not arrogance to stand tall. In Zen, it's a form of truth-telling through the body. Even more subtle than posture are micro-expressions, those lightning flashes of emotion that betray what words attempt to conceal. A smile that fades too quickly, an eyebrow that lifts for a split second, a jaw that clenches just before someone says, "I'm fine." These tiny movements speak volumes. Psychologist Dr. Paul Ekman, who studied facial expressions across cultures, discovered that 7 universal emotions, anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, surprise, and contempt, are expressed in micro-movements the same way worldwide, often in less than a fifth of a second. Zen practice trains you to see these flashes, not with suspicion, but with compassionate clarity. To witness a momentary flicker of sadness beneath someone's smile is not to intrude. But to understand, beyond all this lies something even more intangible yet profoundly felt: presence. That unspoken energy you sense when you walk into a room, the heaviness around someone who's grieving, the peaceful aura of a monk, the nervous edge in a person pretending to be calm. Have you ever felt someone's tension before they even opened their mouth? This is not fantasy. It's the subtle field of energetic awareness. In Buddhism, this field is known as Siddhabhumi, the atmosphere of the mind. When your own awareness is clear and settled, you can feel disturbances in another person's field like ripples on still water. Before the mind can articulate, the body has already declared. And then there's silence, the most underestimated signal of all. A truly awakened being doesn't rush to speak, interrupt, or judge. They listen for the gap, that sacred space between words. Because it's in the pause, the hesitation, the inhale before the sentence, where the mind leaks its truth. In the Shurangama Sutra, the Buddha says, "Be still, and in that stillness, you will hear what no tongue can say." Silence is not emptiness. It is where the heart breathes, where fears tremble, and where unspoken longings rise like incense. These signs don't announce themselves boldly. They emerge gently, in fragments. But the more you train your awareness, the kind that Zen cultivates through deep observation, the more fluent you become in this silent language. You begin to read beyond words, beyond masks, and into the essence of a person, not to judge, not to control, but to understand. To connect. And, when needed, to hold another being in the soft, illuminating light of compassionate truth. In the quiet discipline of Zen Buddhism, the art of reading others is not about cleverness or manipulation, it is about deep resonance. The practice begins not with studying others, but with turning inward. The term Chiu Kien, to illuminate and perceive, describes a rare kind of awareness, one that shines the light of insight upon the shifting landscape of the mind. This isn't mere introspection. It's a living attentiveness, as if watching a candle flame flicker in the wind, observing every tremble without trying to control it. And only when you have come to know your own storms and stillness intimately can you begin to perceive the subtle weather within others, a Zen practitioner. Before attempting to understand the heart of another, first studies the movement of their own breath in silence. They watch how a single thought changes their posture, how a stray memory tightens the jaw, or how shame colors the face without a word. When anger arises, does the breath quicken? Do the shoulders rise unconsciously like a wave about to crash? When doubt appears, do the eyes dart like a trapped bird, or does the voice falter mid-sentence? These are not trivial details, they are the raw script of the self unfolding in real time. By understanding these micro-movements within yourself, you create a mirror, not to reflect others, but to meet them where they are, with depth and without illusion. The 13th century Zen master Dogen once wrote, "To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by all things." This insight is central to the Buddhist way of perception. When you stop projecting your desires, fears, or judgments onto others, what remains is pure perception, untainted by ego. You stop seeing people as obstacles, roles, or ideas, and begin to witness them as living koans, each person a mysterious question that cannot be solved, only honored. In conversation, this manifests as profound stillness. You are not waiting for your turn to speak. You are not calculating a response. You are simply observing how their hands twitch when they talk about the past. How their breath catches before they speak of someone they miss, how their smile arrives late, perhaps too late, when describing something supposedly joyful. A Buddhist teacher once said, "The truth is not in the words, it is in the space between them." The nervous laugh, the unnecessary detail, the unspoken hesitation, these are where the real story lives. One of the greatest masters of perception in Buddhist history was Xuanzang, a monk from the Tang dynasty who traveled over 10,000 miles to retrieve sacred texts from India. But more than scriptures, he returned with deep insight into human nature. In his journals, he wrote of reading the emotions of desert traders by the way they offered water, or understanding the sorrow of a king through the silence that followed his boastful speech. Xuanzang didn't just learn languages, he learned people. And he did so not by being loud, but by being deeply still. This kind of stillness is powerful. Imagine sitting across from someone and truly being there, not judging, not fixing, not even understanding in the conventional sense, but simply witnessing. Like a mountain witnesses the clouds. The person begins to soften, their defenses lower, because for the first time, they feel seen without agenda. This is what Zen calls compassionate presence. It is more healing than advice, more revealing than interrogation. In the practical world, these skills are transformative. You walk into a room and sense tension before words are exchanged. You notice that your colleague's smile doesn't match the heaviness in their voice. You recognize your friend's frustration not because they said they were upset, but because they've started avoiding eye contact, just as you do when you're hiding pain. You don't react. You don't push. You simply hold space. In Buddhism, this is an act of wisdom, not passivity. Most people are not truly listening, they are reacting, interpreting, or assuming. But a practitioner of Zen listens with their whole being. They allow another's experience to unfold like a flower under the morning sun. No force, no haste. Just quiet recognition. When you live this way, people feel safe to show you their real selves, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through your presence. And when all else fails, remember this, in Zen, even a glance can be a teaching. And even a pause can be a sermon. If your own heart is still, you will hear things others miss, not through effort, but through emptiness. Not by adding more knowledge, but by subtracting noise. The Zen story of the silent glance is one of profound wisdom and deep understanding. It's a tale that goes beyond words, one that unveils the unseen truths that the body carries, truths that no speech can ever fully express. In this story, the Zen master is not just looking at the man with his eyes, he is looking into his very essence. His glance is a mirror, reflecting what the man's words cannot conceal, the inner conflict, the hidden desires, the ambition veiled in a facade of humility. In Zen, we believe that true insight doesn't come from verbal exchanges or mental calculations. It's found in the quiet, subtle movements of the body, the way a person carries their energy in the world. The master, through his deep presence, perceives the layers of the man's being, not through the words he speaks but through the tension in his posture, the nervousness in his eyes, the pulse of ego masked by spiritual language. This story isn't just a lesson in humility, it's a powerful demonstration of how we can learn to read the hearts of others. When we watch someone closely, their body language often speaks louder than their words. The slightest movement, a shift in gaze, a deep breath, they reveal what's truly happening within. The body is an open book. If we choose to read it, we can understand much more than what is being said. Consider the famous Zen practice of zazen, or seated meditation. In this practice, one sits still, observing the breath and the movements of the body, not just to calm the mind but to observe what the body has to say. In those moments of stillness, the body becomes the truth teller, revealing both the subtle and the obvious emotions hiding beneath the surface. The Zen master, through years of training, has learned to look at a person and perceive the entirety of their internal state, all through their posture, their breath, their presence. This story is also a profound reminder of how much we can learn from silence. In today's world, where words are constantly spoken and distractions abound. We often forget the power of silence, the ability to simply be, to allow the presence of another to be felt, without the need to fill the space with words. The master in the story did not need to engage in a lengthy conversation to understand the man's heart, his glance was enough. History is full of moments where silence spoke louder than words. Take, for example, the famous story of the Buddha's silence when confronted by questions about the nature of life and the universe. In a moment of profound stillness, the Buddha did not answer verbally, he simply sat in silence, allowing the stillness to convey the ultimate truth. Sometimes, the most profound teachings come not through speech but through the quiet depths of presence. This Zen story teaches us that the art of truly understanding others is not about analyzing their words, but observing their body, their energy, their silence. It invites us to look beyond the surface, to cultivate the skill of reading between the lines, and to deepen our awareness of the invisible forces that shape human behavior. So, the next time you're in the presence of someone, take a moment to observe. Do you feel the tension in their shoulders? Notice the subtle shifts in their eyes. Perhaps there's a hidden story being told, one that transcends the limits of speech. Through mindfulness and presence, we can become masters in reading the true heart of others, just as the Zen master did with a single glance. You don't need cunning strategies, mind games, or psychological tactics to understand another person. In the Buddhist path, the ability to read others comes not from sharpening the intellect but from softening the heart. It is not a skill of control, but of communion. What's required is not dominance over others' emotions, but mastery over your own. Mindful observation is the first gate. But it is not merely watching, it is seeing with the clarity of an undisturbed pond. In this space, you don't rush to label what you witness. You don't call a trembling hand anxiety or a smile happiness. You simply observe, as if the moment were a sacred text unfolding before you. The Zen masters speak of seeing with the whole body. It means your awareness is not trapped in the eyes, it breathes through your skin, listens through your silence, and understands through your being. One look, one breath, one pause can tell you more than 100 words. If you are fully present, stillness is the second foundation. In the world, many people appear calm, but their minds race like 1,000 horses. In Buddhism, true stillness is not the absence of motion, it is the presence of depth. A still person does not simply refrain from reacting, they receive without resistance. They become like the bamboo in the wind, flexible, grounded, and never uprooted. In this state, you begin to notice the micro-expressions, the tone shifts, the energy patterns in people. You become sensitive to what isn't said, and that is often where the truth lives. Self-awareness is not a luxury, it is a necessity. The Buddha taught that all perception is colored by the mind. If your lens is clouded with insecurity, ego, or desire, you will project that onto the people you observe. You'll mistake fear for aggression, sadness for weakness, or love for attachment. But when you know your own mind, truly know it, you stop distorting others with your own reflections. This is why meditation is so central in Buddhism, not to escape the world, but to see it clearly, without the fog of self. There's a saying in the Zen tradition, when the eye is free of dust, the world reveals its truth. The dust is your unexamined emotions, your clinging, your aversions. Clean that first, and then when you look at someone, you won't just see their face, you will see their suffering, their hope, their humanity. Compassion is the crown jewel of this practice. Without it, your ability to read others becomes a weapon. But with compassion, it becomes a bridge. Compassion doesn't mean rescuing others or absorbing their pain, it means recognizing it and meeting it with kindness, not judgment. When you sense someone's discomfort, you don't use it to manipulate, you soften your tone. When you detect hidden sorrow, you offer presence, not pity. When someone lashes out in fear, you see the wounded child behind the anger, and you choose not to strike back. The Dalai Lama once said, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." And in the art of reading others, this couldn't be more true. The goal is not to decode people like puzzles, but to meet them like prayers. Ultimately, the most accurate reading of another's mind comes not from techniques, but from the purity of your presence. In that presence, free of ego and soaked in stillness, people begin to reveal themselves, not because you pry, but because they feel safe enough to be seen, and that, more than any trick or tactic, is where real connection is born. Have you ever wondered why some people can instantly sense what others are thinking, without a single word spoken, why certain monks or wise elders seem to see through you, just by looking into your eyes? Here's the surprising truth: you don't need to be born with a special gift to do this, and yet, studies show that only a small fraction of people, less than 10%, can accurately read the emotional state of others through subtle body language and energy cues. In today's video on Zen Buddhism Wisdom, you'll discover how to unlock this rare ability by training your awareness through timeless Buddhist practices. You'll learn the art of silent seeing, a technique used by Zen masters to perceive the truth beneath appearances, and even protect themselves from deception and manipulation. So stay until the very end, because I'll share a profound real-life Zen story where a master used nothing but mindful presence to uncover a hidden truth that even the person themselves wasn't aware of, and once you understand it, you'll never look at people the same way again.